It's that time again when our favorite Zenith radio, the one with the green tuning eye, comes out of the garage ready to set out on another historic trip back into radio's recent past. One great radio show at a time. Stay with us for the music, the comedy, the thrilling mysteries that turned us all on. I'm Jim Dolan, and as you know by now, I'm just the chauffeur because our real tour conductor is Bill Zachary.
Oh, come on, Jim. Modesty ill becomes you, my friend. In any event, hi, everybody. Now, if we turn on that old Zenith radio, will we actually be able to hear all the great radio shows? Fibber McGee and Molly, Lights Out, Phil Harris and Alice Faye,
The Great Gildersleeve,
Burns and Allen and the Bickersons,
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
That radio can pick up all those shows?
Well, not actually, Bill, but I do have some news of something just as good. And in case you've been living in the bottom of a well, may I tell you, friend, that while it's not on the radio, a talented cast will perform some of the funniest and thrilling radio shows that you just mentioned.
If you're speaking of the grand salute to the golden age of radio this June 27th and 28th, then I've crawled out of the well just in time.
Yes, you have, Bill, and we'll keep this old radio here on the table as a reminder not to miss out on this very special event.
Now, that's a good idea. I certainly don't want to miss it.
Well, what are we going to do now? Shall we do our own radio mystery show, Bill?
No. We're going to guide our friends on a tour of the Golden Age of Radio weekend, coming to the Bellevue Coast Hotel Friday, June 27th and Saturday, June 28th.
A special preview.
Well said, my friend. We'll bring you memories of the very best of radio, stopping in to visit with the people who brought us radio way back then. Plus, a look at the shows that will tickle your funny bone and bring chills to your spine. Shall we go?
To set the stage, let's hear a moment from a classic comedy show, Our Miss Brooks, which features in the cast our dear friend, Gloria Mcmillan.
Hello, Osgood. It's me, Martha.
We've been married 18 years, woman. I know your name.
Try not to be so testy. Do you realize that you left home this morning without even saying goodbye?
Well, that's easily remedied. Goodbye. My blood pressure is higher than it's been in years. To make my morning complete, when I bent down to tie my shoelaces, my glasses fell off.
Did they break?
Not until I straightened up and stepped on them. It's a good thing I have an extra pair of glasses with me, or I couldn't find my way to the door.
Now, whatever you do, Osgood, don't break those.
So you see, Waldo, if we all meet in the cafeteria at lunchtime, we can make the plans. Oh!
Good. Miss Brooks, I presume.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Conklin. I didn't see you coming. Oh, dear, I seem to have broken your glasses. Do you have another pair?
No, Miss Brooks, I haven't. But perhaps I could get you a long stick and let you smash the windows in my office!
You seem to be in quite a hurry, Mr. Conklin. Could I maybe take you somewhere? Hey, it's me, Walter Denton. Your daughter Harriet's dream boat.
My daughter Harriet's... I'll talk to you later, Miss Brooks. Denton, pick up that shattered glass.
Yes, sir. What should I do with it, Mr. Conklin?
Eat it, you lame-brained dunce!
Gosh, Mr. Conklin's sure in a bad mood today. He looks pretty purple, doesn't he?
Even for him. He certainly is excitable.
Hi, Walter. Oh, hello, Miss Brooks.
Hi.
Hello, Harriet.
Did you run into Daddy yet this morning?
It's in the hands of the insurance company now.
His temper's pretty miserable today.
Yes, I know. Poor Daddy. He's been depressed all week long. I don't know what it is. We all try to please him.
What he needs is some recreation and diversion. Say, I have an idea.
What is it, Miss Brooks?
Well, instead of my place tonight, why don't we have our Halloween party at your house, Harriet? That way we could surprise your father and cheer him up a little bit.
Wonderful.
Miss Brooks, you've done it again.
Well, you can just imagine what sort of fiasco was lurking ahead. In that segment, we heard Laurie Mcmillan playing Harriet Conklin, daughter of the long-suffering principal of Madison High, Osgood Conklin, who was played by the late Gail Gordon. Laurie Mcmillan appeared on Our Miss Brooks for the entire 9-year run of the radio show, and the 4 years of the program was on television. We met Gloria for the first time last June when she joined us for the 2007 Salute to the Golden Age of Radio. We asked Gloria about working on the popular Our Miss Brooks show.
The day that I started on Our Miss Brooks and met all of these people, it was just like we instantly all connected. It was like a family. There was Eve and Gail Gordon and Richard Crenna, and it just happened. And we worked together for years in, of course, radio, and then it transitioned into television. And we also made a film for Warner Brothers, but they became my family. We worked every day together. We're doing the radio show and then the television show. We saw one another, all of us every day.
Another very popular radio series at the time was the Lux Radio Theater. Lux Radio Theater adapted popular motion pictures to radio. The series strove to feature as many of the original stars as possible from the film productions. Many of the greatest names in film appeared on the series. Gloria made appearances in many radio programs, but she knew that the Lux program, Live from Hollywood, was special.
I probably was 9 when I did my first Lux Radio Theater. We did it live, of course, in front of an audience. And it was very elegant and very fun to be on with movie stars because, of course, I was a radio person and hadn't done any film at that time. I did one film with Merle Oberon, but it was almost at the same time I did Lux. And every time I did Lux, of course, there were movie stars who starred in that particular recreation of a film. So as a child, I was awestruck, and I just loved it. I just loved it. It was wonderful.
When Gloria appeared at last year's Grand Salute to Old Time Radio, she recreated her original role in the radio production of Our Miss Brooks. Our Miss Brooks proved it could still bring out the laughs and entertain an audience today. Gloria was also delighted when she discovered that she would be part of the cast of a very special Lux Radio Theater, also performed at the 2007 Golden Age of Radio event. We had a chance to catch up with Gloria recently, and she had these words to say about her experience.
First of all, I just can't tell you how much fun it was. I was so excited to be invited, number one, and then to realize that I would meet and reconnect with these people that I had known since I was a child, people that I grew up with in radio, and that I would actually see them again. Not only would I see them, I would be able to work with them, and best of all, in front of an audience that liked radio. I can't tell you how much fun it was. It was just it was a fabulous experience. I got to play all kinds of people and all kinds of characters from shows that I loved, shows that I had worked in, and shows that I hadn't worked in. And, oh my goodness, it was an actor's dream.
Radio sounds like fun, Bill.
It is. And that's why the salute to the Golden Age of Radio this June 27th and June 28th will be a lot of fun, too.
I see that the program runs for 2 days. What will be happening at this year's event?
Well, Jim, it's amazing how much does happen over these 2 days. It takes every bit of that time to present all the great things that we have scheduled. However, if your schedule does not permit attending the entire 2-day event, you can come for just 1 day or even part of a day. Believe me when I tell you that most people who have previously attended an old-time radio event come back for the entire program.
They don't want to miss anything?
That's exactly right. The day moves pretty fast. We interview a special guest about the great radio shows they were part of. We have a panel of performers talking about the funny moments that happen behind the scenes, and you get a chance to mingle with these stars who appeared in these great radio shows. There's also a sit-down banquet on Saturday night.
I'll take the New York steak.
It's on the menu, Jim. Or you can select stuffed boneless chicken, vegetarian lasagna, or grilled salmon. And all the radio personalities will be spread out and seated at the various tables, and one of them will be sitting next to you.
I like it, and I like watching the sound effects team in action, creating great effects for the live radio shows that are performed throughout the weekend. People really enjoy those.
Yes, each year, favorite radio shows from the Golden Age of Radio are selected to be performed. The directors assemble a talented cast and lead the sound effects and music teams to present the greatest comedies, mysteries, and adventures from among the finest and best remembered shows.
Can we give the listener a sample?
We're going to visit with Mr. Gregg Oppenheimer, who directed the Lux Radio Theater show at last year's event. And Gregg is the son of Jess Oppenheimer, the creator, producer, and head writer on the I Love Lucy show. Let's give a little backstory. When the animated Pinocchio feature was released in 1939, the CBS radio network broadcast a very special radio version of the motion picture on the Lux Radio Theater. The same actors who gave voice to the animated characters in the movie appeared on the CBS microphones and recreated the same characters for radio. The radio version was completely delightful. Gregg was given the task of directing our version of this ever-challenging show. Would Gregg be able to recreate this wonderful show to the delight of our audience? Gregg accepted the challenge, and the result was magic.
I haven't heard the Lux Radio Theater Pinocchio, but I took a listen to it and cut it down a little bit, cut out a couple of musical numbers and a couple of characters, and got it to about 45 minutes. And we had a few logistical problems with the scripts because I've now learned that we ended up with every cast member having a different version of the script and different draft, and some repagination happened, so people had stuff on different pages, and some had no page numbers. And it was one of the most disastrous rehearsals ever, and also the most hilarious rehearsal I've ever been in. Not just because of those problems, but everything that possibly could go wrong went wrong. And the cast, that's my favorite thing with the cast. It was such professionals, and they just went with it. And I was just crying. I was laughing so much during the rehearsal. But the show went off without a hitch.
I'll bet a lot of you folks don't believe that about a wish coming true, do you? Well, I didn't either. But of course, I'm just a cricket singing my way from hearth to hearth. But let me tell you what made me change my mind.
Well, no, it won't take much longer. Just a little more paint, and he's all finished. Yeah. I think he'll be all right, don't you, Figaro? Oh, sure. Yeah, I paint now a smile on his face, huh? You see? Little foot-and-head, go play your part. Bring a little joy to every heart. Do you know, and yet it's true, that I might soon be proud of you. Little wooden feet, best of all. A little wooden seat in case you fall.
Good Geppetto, you have given so much happiness to others. You deserve to have your wish come true. Little puppet made of pine, wake, the gift of life is thine.
Well, Pinocchio, maybe you and I better have a little heart-to-heart talk.
Why?
Well, you want to be a real boy, don't you?
Uh-huh.
All right. Sit down, son. Now, you see, the world is full of temptation.
Temptation?
Yes, temptation. You see, there are the wrong things that seem right at the time, but, well, even though the right things may seem wrong sometimes the wrong things may be right at the wrong time, or vice versa.
Hey, let's go back. I want to hear the whole show.
Unfortunately, we only have time to treat ourselves to a small sample.
Why worry about time? We have a time machine.
You got me there. It's certainly a fine show, made great by the outstanding talents of Donald Buca as Geppetto and Stromboli, Ginny Tyler as Pinocchio, Elizabeth Ripley as the Blue Fairy, and Eddie Carroll as Jiminy Cricket. Hey, Jim, did you know that Eddie Carroll is the actual voice of Jiminy Cricket for the Disney Studios?
Really?
Yep, he took over the role in 1974. Eddie is also very popular for his one-man show where he performs as Jack Benny, to the delight of theater audiences around the country.
Eddie's a friend of mine, and he's so talented. He just is Jiminy Cricket, like the same way he is Jack Benny. And he does those. So much of his work is done with those two voices, Jack Benny or Jiminy Cricket. But and it's funny. Everybody at the convention wants to hear Eddie do Jack Benny, and is in awe of his ability to do that. But we went into the bar at the hotel, and all the wait staff and everything are younger. The bartender, they really wanted to hear him do Jiminy Cricket. They were very excited about that. When he starts singing as Jiminy Cricket, it was just you close your eyes and you hear the cartoon character. It was wonderful. Donald is always a delight to work with. Donald somehow had it in his mind that we should do the character of Geppetto as a leprechaun. I talked him out of that. He's such a professional. He takes direction really well, and is huge talent. And he had the audience in tears. It was just so sad. So when he thought that he'd lost Pinocchio, everybody was people were practically crying. We kept losing cast members with unexpected conflicts with other rehearsals and medical emergencies of various people who were friends of theirs. And Elizabeth kept stepping into other roles, and at one point it looked like it was going to be a one-woman show. Elizabeth Ripley. But fortunately, everybody showed up for the actual performance. She was the Blue Fairy, and beautiful, beautiful voice.
Hey, while we're here, why don't we mosey on over and talk to Eddie Carroll? Follow me. Oh, there he is. Now, let's see if he has a moment to talk with us. Oh, Mr. Carroll? Eddie? Excuse me, Eddie. If you have a moment, can you share with our audience some of the experiences being part of the Golden Age of Radio event at the Bellevue Coast Hotel?
Well, what was fun for me, first of all, it was my first experience with reps. And it tickles me and pleases me no end to know that all over the country, we're having this wonderful continuous interest in the golden age of radio. So many organizations and societies, but and not having been to Seattle before with the reps people, I was so impressed with the way the convention was handled, the enthusiasm of everybody up there. And I must tell you this, and I've said this to many people while I was there, and even since I've been back, I am totally impressed by the incredible professional caliber of talent of the people in Seattle who belong to reps. Having been the voice of Jiminy Cricket now for almost 35 years, to have had the privilege and the fun of recreating the movie version of Pinocchio, the radio version, of course, of the movie, which was great fun, and then to do my other alter ego, Jack Benny, not only once but twice, to do The Horn Blows at Midnight, the radio version of the film, and then to guest on a Fred Allen show as Jack Benny. And incidentally, it's Larry Albert does a magnificent Fred Allen. I mean, he just nails that character. And Fred Allen is one of those characters, just like Eddie Anderson, who played Rochester on the Jack Benny show. The minute in 1 second when you hear the timbre and quality of those voices, you know immediately who it is. And well, of course, Jack Benny was always Jack Benny. But for me, to continue to preserve Jack Benny's image, the one thing I've worked very, very hard at is to try to capture his real, honest human behavior. And what I try to do when I do my one-man show, it's an evening of Jack Benny. As you know, it's an evening of Jack Benny sharing his entire life story with the audience. The audience will just be blown over. They want to feel that they honestly had a visit with the real Jack Benny, not just somebody doing him. So that's what I try to do. Hi to everybody up at Reps. You guys are terrific, and I know that this year will be another absolute fabulous convention.
It was a true thrill last year with Eddie Carroll performing as Jack Benny.
Oh, that was Eddie Carroll? I thought that was Jack Benny.
You were not alone. Eddie performed as Jack Benny in a few shows last year, an episode of the Jack Benny program, and a special guest on the Fred Allen Show. One of the highlights of the Fred Allen Show was the Allen's Alley segment. Whenever Fred wanted to know how America was reacting to an important issue of the day, he would just drop in on Allen's Alley. Allen would knock on the door of the houses in the alley and ask questions on a particular topic. The humor of Allen's Alley emanated from the exaggerated personalities of the characters and their unpredictable responses.
Somebody's knocking.
Yes,
Hey, Claghorn's the name. Senator Claghorn, that is.
Well, look, I know.
Something tells me you don't remember me, son. Look,
I remember.
Now, I want you to know that I'm from the South.
Yeah.
The Pone and Possum Paradise.
All right, now look, Senator.
Now, the only plant life I have around my house is a Virginia creeper.
All right, now wait a minute.
Every time I get chicken pox, there's Southern pride.
Senator.
Yeah, remember me now, son, huh?
The senator stopped just in time. I was dozing off myself. Now I wonder how Titus Moody is doing.
Howdy, Bub.
You're starting to sound like Dennis Day, Titus. Tell me, Mr. Moody, do you have any trouble sleeping?
I only half sleep.
Half sleep?
I got short eyelids.
With short eyelids, you can't close your eyes, huh?
Only when I frown.
Oh, let's try next door here.
No?
Oh, Mrs. Nussbaum.
You were expecting maybe Hobie Carmichael?
Tell me, Mrs. Ann, do you have trouble sleeping?
Who could sleep? Every night with his dreaming. My husband Pierre is waking me up.
His dreams, huh?
Always. Different things.
Oh, dreams he's different things. Well, how do you mean?
One night Pierre is dreaming he is a lone stranger.
Yes?
All night long he's yelling, "Hi-ho, Silver!"
Hi-ho, Silver, huh?
Upstairs is living Mrs. Silver.
Yes?
All night she's yelling back, "Hi-ho, Hi-ho, noose bomb.
I see. Well, that brings us to the Lavender Shanty at the end of the alley. Let's try here.
You knocked 3 times. You think that's nice? In my last picture, the postman rang twice.
Ah, Falstaff, you have new poems tonight?
Indubitably. Hast thou heard? Said the little bear to the big giraffe, let's eat a hyena. Just for a laugh?
No.
No? Well, when I called her baby, her face lit up because she had a lantern jaw.
Later in the program, Jack makes an unexpected appearance. Fred is auditioning his new game show, and Benny would like to be a contestant. On Fred's game show, you can win a slew of money and prizes if you're crowned king for a day.
Who was the 6th president of the United States?
John Quincy Adams.
John Quincy Adams is correct, and Mr. Myron Crawford is king for a day. Folks, here he is, King Proudfoot. Well, Your Majesty, how do you feel?
Never mind how I feel. What do I get?
Well, first for His Majesty, from Schnook Sport Nook, a genuine no-splash beaver-board canoe paddle, and here it is.
A canoe paddle? Oh, boy.
And with the compliments of Tiffany's, this chromium pitchfork for our king for a day.
Gee, a 4-pronger, and it's all mine.
And from Hemingway's hardware store, 200 pounds of self-hardening putty for king for a day.
Just what I need. Just what I need.
This is just the beginning, King.
I just keep pinching myself to believe it. I'm king for a day.
And that's not all.
There's more.
Oh, yes. We're going to start right now to make you look like a king. Sam of Sam's Super Shoe Shine Stand is here to brush your shoes. All right, Sam. Your coat's a little baggy, King. Boys, take His Majesty's coat off.
Well, wait a minute. Now hold it on.
On our stage, we have a Hoffman pressing machine. Take his pants off. Take the trousers. An expert operating the Hoffman pressing machine will press your trousers. That's right, boys. Help Mr. Proudfoot with his pants off. That's it now. There you go. That's wonderful. All right. Now, keep your shirt on, King.
You're darn right I'm keeping my shirt on.
We're a little late, folks. Tune in again next week.
Alan, you haven't seen the end of me.
It won't be long now.
I want my pants.
Well, Fred got the best of Benny in that show. Benny was stripped of his dignity right down to his boxer shorts. Fred was hoping for the end of Benny, and it looks like he succeeded.
Not quite, Jim. Benny was back the following evening in The Horn Blows at Midnight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to add a little addendum to The Horn Blows at Midnight. When this movie came out, not only, as you know, the critics just trashed it, the public avoided it, but to make matters worse, in Hollywood, The Horn Blows at Midnight became nothing but a big joke. Everybody made fun of The Horn Blows at Midnight. So a few months after the movie came out, I drove over to Warner Brothers to talk, where I had shot the movie, to talk to them about doing another film, you see. And as I drove up to the entrance of the studio, the guard that was posted at the gate saw me coming, took his gun out, and took a shot at me. I couldn't believe it. I stopped the car. I said, "Are you crazy? I'm Jack Benny, for heaven's sake. I did The Horn Blows at Midnight at the studio. Didn't you see it?" He said, "See it? I directed it." So, thank you, folks.
We've heard just a few moments from last year's event, but we can't stay any longer in 2007. You see, the rental on the time machine is just about up. Climb aboard, Jim. Let's head back to 2008.
I'm right behind you.
Hiya, Doc. It's just the most fun. Of course, I grew up, with radio, and I did television for so many years. And now, I mean, it's just wonderful to go back to my favorite and my great love, and that's radio. I grew up in the dark as a kid, not only performing on it, but I listened to it. I listened to it like religiously, and if I didn't hear it in my living room, I would go to the studios, like the Long Acre Theater at WOR, and watch them do The Shadow, and I'd watch Gene Shepard work, and I would go over and sit with Zach and do all John Zachary in New York, and we do all these wonderful things, and I love radio more than anything because it's the theater of the mind. You can build far better sets in your mind. You can, each and every one of you that any set designer can create or construct. It's fabulous. And, of course, doing voices when I was a kid, I mean, I just grew up with all these voices running around in my head, you know. I mean, it was like, hello, will you leave me tea, your manager speaking, Duffy ain't here. Oh, hi, Miss Duffy. You know, I mean, doing these wonderful, or Charlie McCarthy. Hello, Birgit. Yes, Charlie. I want you to be careful now. Don't, W.C. Fields is coming over. So I'll be above down. Yes. Well, I want you to be good to him. Oh, yeah. Hello there, Ginger. Hello, Charles. Yeah, you woodpecker's hors d'oeuvre. Mr. Fields, is that your nose, or did somebody hit you with a banana? You know, this is a lot of doing all this. This sounds so much fun. I'm biting at the bit right now. I can't wait.
Now, that was Chuck McCann, one of the featured personalities.
Biting at the bit right now. I can't wait.
Now, that was Chuck McCann, one of the featured personalities for this year's event. Now that we're back home in the year 2008, let's focus on what we'll see at the Salute to the Golden Age of Radio this year.
Sounds like a good idea.
Let's start with Chuck McCann, who we just heard. Now, Chuck is a master of mimicry, and through his talents, we will bring you the Charlie McCarthy Show. The Charlie McCarthy Show was a popular Sunday night program, and it ran for over 20 years. The program's humor stemmed largely from Charlie's brash, cocky personality. The smart aleck youngster was actually a wooden dummy, proving that a ventriloquist could be popular on the radio. One of Charlie's foils was stage and film comedian W.C. Fields, who appeared frequently. Fields and Charlie hurled name-calling insults and jokes at each other. Charlie's favorite target was Fields drinking and his big red nose.
You know, Edgar, it's touching to see your affection for the little nipper. It strikes a tender chord in my heart.
Oh, thank you, Bill. You know, I thought you didn't like children.
Oh, not at all, Edgar. I love children. I can remember when, with my own little unsteady legs, I toddled from room to room.
When was that? Last night?
Quiet, Wormwood, or I'll whittle you down to a coat hanger.
Yeah.
Tell me, Charles, is it true your father was a gate-leg table?
If it is, your father was under it, or...
Why, you stunted spruce. I'll throw a Japanese beetle on you.
Why, you barfly, you... I'll stick a wick in your mouth and use you for an alcohol lamp.
One of Charlie's routines was flirting with the guest celebrities.
You mean like the time he was engaged to Marilyn Monroe?
That was hilarious.
Child characters could often say things that adults could not. And because he was also a dummy, Charlie got away with some very suggestive remarks.
And we get a taste of it at this year's radio event?
You bet.
Really?
We will. Our Charlie McCarthy Show will feature live music, comedy sketch by Abbott and Costello, and vintage commercials. Hey, Jim, did you know that Abbott and Costello were regulars on the Charlie McCarthy shows for a few years?
It will be fun to watch Chuck McCann, who will provide the voice of Charlie McCarthy, and W.C. Fields. Laurie Mcmillan had this to say regarding Chuck.
I cannot believe the talent of that man. It is endless. The characters he plays, the talent that he has, and he's such fun to watch and such fun to work with. Oh, the audiences will love him.
That was Laurie Mcmillan speaking of Chuck McCann, one of our very special guests this year.
McMillan on McCann, who will be McCarthy.
Very funny indeed. Now, Chuck McCann will also be playing the brash Phil Harris in the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show.
That has to be one of the funniest situation comedies from radio.
We will also be joined by one of the nicest ladies from radio, Janet Waldo. Janet's voice is well recognized from the TV series The Jetsons. Janet was the voice of Judy Jetson, the daughter. She was a very busy actress in radio, and she told us a little about her experiences when we had a chance to talk with her.
Well, Meet Corliss Archer was my home away from home. It was the most fun show to do, and I loved it, and it was one of the very first things I did in radio. I loved doing a teenager, and I had such a problem in radio because I was so young, and the actual first job I got in radio was Lux Radio Theater, and I dressed up with a black hat, with a veil and everything, and I was sitting next to Jerry Hausner. Do you remember Jerry Hausner from radio? And Hans Conried, and I met these two people. They were the first people I met in radio, and Jerry was doing bird calls and things during the commercial, and he said to me, "My gosh, they're getting younger every time. Do you realize you're taking a job away from a married man with a family?" And you know, I was so young and dumb, I didn't realize that a married man with a family couldn't have played my part. That was the first thing I did in radio, and then I got a call to audition for Meet Corliss Archer, and F.U. Herbert was the author, and I remember being so nervous, I dropped my script all over the floor, and I just loved doing the audition and being myself, which was such fun, and I got the part. So actually, he had two daughters at the time who were very upset that I got the part because they wanted the part. But it was a wonderful experience. I loved everybody connected with the show, and especially Sam Edwards. Sam Edwards, to me, really made Corliss the big success that it was. He was such a wonderful actor and such a wonderful person. And his interpretation of Dexter Franklin was so unique and so lovable that everyone remembers the show.
Janet Waldo will be recreating her role as Corliss Archer on Saturday night with live sound effects and music, plus vintage Campbell Soup commercials.
Good.
Did you know that Janet also had a regular role on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet?
Yes, and that was one of my most favorite things next to Corliss, because it was written by a series of wonderful comedy writers, and it was just a little cameo spot on the Ozzie and Harriet show called Emmy Lou. And I so enjoyed it because it was fantastically well written. Sherwood Schwartz wrote most of the scenes that I got to do, and it was just like, it was right after the first act and just the middle of the show break. And I loved the one that I did with Bing Crosby, because Bing Crosby brought me to California, and he was on Ozzie and Harriet, and I just couldn't stand it. I was so excited about Bing being on the show, and if you ever listen to Ozzie and Harriet and that one specific show, you'll see how excited I was.
Oh, hello, Emmy Lou.
Oh, hello, Emmy. Come on in and sit down.
I can't sit down. I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled. I've got cold chills running up my spine.
What was that?
They ran down again.
Take it easy, Emmy Lou.
Take it easy? Oh, Mr. Nelson, how can you say that? Evidently you haven't heard the news. He's here in town, the one, the only Bing Crosby. Not a movie, not a photograph, not a record, but for real. Himself in the... I blush when I say it. Flesh.
Well, there you are, dear.
I hate to disillusion you, Emmy Lou, but Bing Crosby is not in town. Just a silly rumor that got started.
Oh, Mr. Nelson, I'm sure you're mistaken. I know he's in town. I feel it. I just love Bing Crosby. He's so...
I used to think Rudy Valley was...
Oh, now, wait.
I'm really looking forward to meeting her.
Yes, sir. She is one nice lady.
What about the radio mysteries, thrillers, and science fiction? Those are my favorite.
One of the great radio horror shows was Lights Out, written and produced by Arch Oboler.
That had to be one of the spookiest shows on the air.
Yes, indeed it was. NBC conceived the idea of a midnight mystery serial to catch the attention of the listeners at the witching hour. Each episode began with a warning to the listener, these Lights Out stories are definitely not for the timid soul. So we tell you calmly and very sincerely, if you frighten easily, turn off your radio now.
Lights out. Everybody. It is later than you think.
Lights Out was closely associated with Arch Oboler, who produced the series and wrote many of the shows, often noted for their gruesomeness. As a young boy, radio actor Tommy Cook worked often with Arch Oboler.
Arch Oboler, of course, who more or less discovered me in radio, in the halcyon days of radio, with Orson Welles, Norman Corwin, and Arch Oboler. They were the greatest producer, writer, directors in radio. I was so fortunate. I worked for Mr. Welles just once or twice. Of course, I did my client Curly with Norman Corwin, but I was part of Arch's stock company. I played all the young kids. I was part of Arch's stock company. I played all the young kid roles, and it was an absolute treasure working with him. He couldn't have been nicer to me. I guess he was tough to get along with some of the adult people, but with me, he couldn't have been nicer. I'll tell you an interesting thing. Arch used to write. He had 2 series while I was with him. Everyman's Theater, NBC, Friday night, and then Plays for Americans, and also on NBC. And he would write each week. He would star one of the people in his stock company, and he would write for them. He knew those actors so well, and he knew me, and he had such confidence in us that he would write. And you know something? I wasn't acting for Arch Oboler. I mean, it wasn't just reading lines. That kid that he wrote, that was me. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't even let me take a script home until dress rehearsal. He just wanted that natural performance. He had confidence that I knew exactly what that kid was all about, and didn't want any woodshedding.
We will be spotlighting 2 shows by Arch Oboler, A Tale of Horror from Lights Out, and a program selected for us by Tommy Cook from the series Arch Oboler's Plays. We are pleased to bring both these programs to you, and happy that Tommy Cook can be with us. Tommy Cook was one of the busiest child actors in radio, playing simultaneously Alexander on The Blondie Show, Junior on The Life of Riley, and Little Beaver on The Adventures of Red Ryder, and the same part in the Red Ryder series.
We promise you a grand old time if you attend the Grand Salute to Old Time Radio, Friday, June 27th and Saturday, June 28th, at the Bellevue Coast Hotel. Here's what our special guests say about the weekend event.
I can encourage you to come as well. You'll have the time of your life. It's just fabulous.
Really looking forward to that. I love Seattle. It's my hometown.
Hi to everybody up at Reps. You guys are terrific, and I know that this year will be another absolute fabulous convention.
It is absolutely marvelous. The nicest people that I ever worked with, and I've starred in 5 independent films, and I've done 80 or so television shows. The nicest people and the most talented people were the ones that I worked with in radio.
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope to see all of you there.
Thanks for joining us for this special preview. We'll close it out with a famous opening from Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space